All right, Lagos. It is 17 minutes, going to 5. You're tuned into Smooth 98.1. And indeed, it's going to be a lovely day. Ooh, talking about lovely day. How's your day coming along? Is it still raining? Is it still drizzling where you are at? Well, what you can do for me is share that thoughts with me on WhatsApp. The number is 0911 999 0981. So that is 0911 999 0981. Definitely would love to hear from you. Okie doke. Talking about hearing from you today on Marketplace, like I said, it's going to be an interesting conversation. I'm going to be taking a look at STEM because I know that the Nigerian government says its education funding initiative, that's NEL Fund, has disbursed about 54 billion. Let that sink in, oh, 54 billion to pay the tuition of 290,000 students. That's a huge number of students. Anyways, so the students are allowed time to find a job before they're able to pay back the loan. However, some have questioned the funding mechanism behind this, and they've also suggested the fund would be more impactful if they're targeting fields of study that focus on the future, like STEM. And if you're wondering what STEM is, STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And my guest who is joining me this evening, I was going to say this morning, oh my days. I wonder why. Anyways, my guest joining me this evening is Titilope Adewusi. She's the convener of STEM Africa Fest, and it is a pleasure having you with me. Oh, great conversation we're about to have. Welcome, by the way.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm happy and excited to be here this wonderful rainy evening.
Right. Wonderful rainy evening indeed. All right, Lagos, as always, you can share your thoughts on the conversation. And talking about thoughts, I want to know, what do you make of their arguments that Nigeria's Dolphins should target STEM students? What does that, are you in agreement with that? Or do you think that, oh, okay, no, that's just asking for too much?
Okay, so before I answer that, I'll go indirectly and say that I recently Googled what are the top 15 jobs of the future, right?
Okay. Oh,
And
okay.
13 of those jobs are STEM related, right? So we had things like data scientist, we had big data, we had software developer, we had AI, and of course machine learning. So when you do look at the jobs of the future, a lot of
Right.
them are to do with science, technology, engineering, arts and we had renewable energy on the list. So if really Nigeria is to partake in the fourth industrial revolution, it
Right.
means that it has to have a major focus on science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. So that's the first thing. And
Okay.
if that's the case, then funding should reflect it. Because
Mm,
if we want the workforce of the future, we need to make sure that those workforce are well planned for, and funding is one of the major things. But having said that, it's not to be to the exclusion of others. So we do need other people. So it's not only the developers we need. We'll still need the marketers. Thank you very much. We still need the money people to calculate that this business idea makes sense. So we
Okay.
still need
So
all those people. Yes,
fair
we
enough.
still need the designers that would bring ideas to life. We do need that, but where we need to position as a country, right,
Hmm.
is really at the forefront of the fourth industrial revolution in Africa and indeed the world, and we are already there. When people talk
Mm.
about the unicorns and technology, they in Africa they must mention us. No matter the beef
Yes.
they have for us, they must mention
It could be there
because we
because we're so good at what we do.
we do have unicorns that have come out from there.
Right.
And when you look at the industries that are growing fast, it really is, those in these areas. So
Industry.
we need
Mm.
the focus, honestly, for our country, to increase our productivity as well. Everything that will increase productivity is technology related. So that
I
brings
agree.
us back to science, technology, engineering, arts and math. So I do agree and do support, but having said that, is not, exclusive. It shouldn't be
Right.
exclusive.
Okay, so now that you say it's not exclusive, how will those who are non-STEM students, how will they now get funding? What, because you've spoken for the STEM students. Now sell for the non-STEM students and see, let's see how
Okay.
that could also work out.
So remember what I said. First of all, I'm not saying they shouldn't give. I'm just saying
Oh
they should
yes,
prioritize.
yes.
They should give a percentage.
Right.
They might give them lower repayment plans. So it really
Okay.
should be a hybrid. And then I think we need to have more industry link scholarships. So
Mm.
remember when if you are as old as I am, back then people that wanted to go into all companies, a lot of them were under
Oh
scholarship.
yes,
The top students
yes.
were sponsored by all companies, and
Hmm.
we need more of those. So we need industry sponsoring for specific industries. So, for instance, I would
Okay.
say the banks. If we use them as an example, they should be
Hmm.
sponsoring a lot of people doing economics. They should sponsor a lot of people
Mm.
doing finance. They should sponsor a lot of people doing
Right,
accounting.
right.
Accounting firms do a bit of that, currently now. The big fours, do a lot of scholarships. Yes, they do a lot of scholarship for accounting students. So if we
Okay.
if we start looking at those, and let's say media houses are sponsoring those in journalism, for instance.
Hmm.
Yes. So I think we need to go back to some of those things. I think as organizations look at their CSR initiatives, they should
Hmm.
look at how do they sponsor, because they're sponsoring their future workforce. It's just like
I
it like make
agree.
good business sense
I
now.
agree.
Just sponsor a lot more of those people. That's what I would say. So we need more scholarships. Honestly, we need more scholarship from the industry. We also
Hmm.
need the funding from the government. Once they decide that there are certain courses that are key, I feel that we should have things rally around that, and it should not be only government. That would be what I would say in terms of those funding. Even individuals now, look at what I don't know if you heard this
Mm.
story of a lady recently in America that went
Yeah.
and sponsored all the medical students so that they won't have to go into debt. Because most people, yes, and that's what her wealth went to that for the next, I can't remember how many years.
Ooh,
So again, if you made money in certain areas, some
yeah.
of those, let that be your legacy that you leave behind.
I like that. How that is some impressive stuff that I will Google, I will search and keep myself updated on that one because if she's decided to, give her worldly goods to fund, it's medical students, and she knows that this is something that is absolutely important to her and to the world. I'm sure even the medical students will give back in their own little way. So kudos to her. And
Yeah.
like I said, I will search and get updates on that. But talking about this was something we're talking about behind the scenes before we started the program proper. And it is so good. Well, I'm glad to actually still bring it out to the fore because I was talking about how it is we have girls, we have female in STEM, but it seems like it's not enough. And here's why. Because I remember the FGGC Shagamu and the girls who built a robot in 2023. I'm not sure what and where they are right now and what it is they're doing with that or how far they've progressed. But how do we get not only those girls, but more girls into STEM, especially the best into, the best of the best into this field and then be global.
Yeah. So the first thing is that we need more role models, right? So
Mm.
for instance, I studied engineering. The only reason why I studied engineering because my dad did engineering and then one of my sisters did engineering. So by the time it came to my turn, it's like, yeah,
Oh,
I can do
okay.
this. Girls
And
are
it
doing
wasn't
this.
so right.
It wasn't strange to me at all. So I already had two people ahead of me that had done that. So it made it
Okay.
easier. So what I realized that we need more role models. People need to see women that are building things. In my company, people are like, oh, you have a female CTO. That's like, I've not heard of a tech company that has a female CTO. So we need more of those role models. That's the thing. We need more of the people in those companies coming out, going to schools, doing campaigns
Right.
so that the girls will realize that, yeah, girls can rule the world in these areas. So
All
that would be the first
right.
thing. That's the first thing that I would say. What we found out with the data is that most girls lose interest in anything STEM usually by their GSS2. By GSS2,
Mm.
it shows you how early we need to get them in. In my company, to employ female developers is that we will dig the sand. You know how when you really have to go beyond the surface, because first of all, they're not a lot out there, and a lot of them
Okay.
will say, "Oh, I'm not even interested. It's only for the guys." So we need to change. We need to change that narrative, and so we need a lot
Right.
more of those role models. That would be the first thing. We need to
Okay.
put them all out there. People see women that are doing wonderful things in science, in technology, that are breaking barriers, in those things. I mean, look at what's happening in media. We've seen the likes of Oprah. So people know that, oh yeah, that's possible. Even locally
Right.
here, that we have more that has done those things. We're like, yeah, a woman can own a media company. So it's now possible.
Right.
So we need more role models. I think the other thing that we need is to start early. So I
Okay.
really would like a situation where things that have to do with STEM curriculum starts very much early in primary school.
Mm.
STEM clubs are early in very much early in primary school, and
Mhm.
it's shown not to be one-sided, because when they do STEM, everybody thinks robotics, and girls are like, ew, robotics so boring,
Exactly.
but there's so many things about STEM that they don't show. There's the biotechnology, the things that are exciting. There's the DNA extraction, the things that girls really find more
More
interesting.
interesting.
You can create things with your 3D printing. Okay, by the time you start telling the
That
girls that,
exciting.
that's it. That's interesting. So I think that's another thing that we then need to make it a wide range rather than just coding and robotics, which a lot might not be interested in. And then we need to bring the competitions. We already seen a lot of that happen. I can tell you that a competition that doesn't have a girl inside it, we girls, there's something we bring, our
Oof.
creativity, our
Oof.
ideas, not the
Have you
same.
have you seen the Super Falcons? Have you seen the D
Oh,
type?
now let's not
I
say
don't
too much.
I
There's
don't want to
something
toot
we
our horn.
there's something we bring, and that's why when
Right.
people are trying to do teams, they want it to have, they want it to have all the parties. There's some things that the guys will build, and when they now come for testing, they're like, "Oh, you didn't think of this." None of them thought about it. It was only the girls that could pick it up. So that's why I said we need to see all those role models. We need a lot more of those
Right,
competitions
right.
that are specifically promoting for girls into the competition. So when you think of what the girls in Shagamu did, imagine if a company took them on and sponsored them on an international organization, one of those international competitions. That would just really help. I remember, I don't know if you remember when there was a school from the East that went on to win in the US the tech innovation competition and challenge, and it was all over the newspapers, and we're all excited about them.
Right, yes.
Just
I remember
that
that.
just that made a lot of girls go into it. The next year, we had a lot more Nigerian participants in it. A lot more girls thought about the code. Oh, they're like, oh, those girls that did this. And because of what they did before, they realized that, they did it for medicine. I think their app was about something that helped detect fake drugs. So they started to see the application and became interested. So we need a lot more of that. People, organizations spend some of this money to do competitions that can then take them to international levels, whether
Right.
it's robotics, whether it's even something as simple as science experiment, even
Mm,
even fashion that is driven by technology, which is another thing that you get a lot more girls involved in. So
I agree.
we need those opportunities. We need companies doing the sponsorship for international exposure. We also need exchange programs. We had a lot more exchange programs when I was growing up
Okay. Oh
that
yes,
bring,
I
yeah, we
indeed,
had
indeed.
a whole lot more of exchange programs, so that the
Right.
things we talk about are not too far away. Sometimes when you think and talk about them, like, oh, it doesn't happen here.
It's like
So
it's
when we have a lot more of those exchange programs, I think that would really help. But we need to showcase. So if
mm.
I mean, you know about the Shagamu girls, to
How
girls
many
in
other
various
people?
secondary schools know about them, because there's nothing like seeing yourself represented, to know, oh
Mm.
my goodness, they built this robot, especially if the robot is to do housework now. They built this robot. So we should have gone to do a road show, where, because it was like a federal unity school, there was a road show,
Right.
or they brought out principals of those schools together and challenged them, especially the ones of the girls. I went to one of those federal unity schools. Imagine bringing
Right.
them together and say, oh, this, want to do this, and we want to do an inter-school competition. So we need more of those things, and those things need,
Right.
you know the privates to sponsor them, and also the exposure. Send
Mm.
these people, like someone is the one that was sponsoring the Falcon girls now, that kind of thing.
Well, indeed, we need more sponsors. We need, I wouldn't say just female sponsors, but we need more sponsors in this space. And we'll talk about that after this quick breather, especially how parents can nurture their children from the young age to get involved in STEM, as opposed to just the male child, how they can also encourage the female child. But we'll talk about that and much more after this quick break. Lagos, don't move a muscle. Stay tuned to Smooth 98.1.
Smooth 98.1. What can your bank do for you?
So quick one, and we'll be back in. Very quick one.
Okay.
So, been on this queue forever, and you're saying I should fill another form. What's going on? What can your bank do for you? Meet Frank, 27 years old, held up in traffic and making fruitless transactions. I am saved the airtime. What the electricity charges? It's so difficult making this. Introducing Safri, a lifestyle digital bank that's designed just for you. With one click, you can make easy and fast payment transactions, pay bills, and even acquire easy loans. Hurry and download the Safri app on your Play Store. Visit safrisafri.com for more information. Safri, borderless banking. Accessible, informed, connected.
All right, Lagos, it is 34 minutes, gone past 5, and you are tuned into Smooth 98.1. And this evening, we are talking about STEM. Well, talking about how we can refocus our energies into STEM. And if you're wondering what STEM is, it stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And seeing how we can grow that, and especially see how our younger generation can benefit more if we improve it, if we boost them across Nigeria and Africa, we can actually, improve certain things. So that is what we've been talking about. And my guest who's been sharing so much insight on this is Titilope Adewusi. She's the convener of STEM Africa Fest. And trust me, she's been giving great insight. If you also want to share your thoughts, you can come through on WhatsApp. The number is 09 11 999 0981 0911 That is the WhatsApp number to share your thoughts this evening. And talking about this evening, right, or talking about STEM in itself, I did ask, I want to know, how can parents actually start nurturing their children from a young age to get into the STEM field?
Okay, that's a good question. And let me start by one very easy one. So we organize this annual STEM festival,
Okay.
and where we bring all the various aspects of STEM under one roof. And the idea is to ignite something in children. So
Right.
they have 3D printing, they have virtual reality, they have
Mhm.
science experiments, they have everything like science, technology, engineering, arts, and maths related under one roof. And what we've seen over the years is that the children are so excited. They're like, oh, they didn't know that science was fun. Because when they go to school, science is read a textbook, talk about this. So they got to do it hands-on. And that's
Right.
really what I tell people, that science is so interesting and engaging that if it's done well, the average child will be interested. That's just what you know how science is blowing experiment, something is blowing up. I remember when I was into school, the thing we used to drink, they'll tell you mix this, but those of us at the back will now try our do you understand? Or when they say you should dissect this frog, we went to go and overdo, because it was that curiosity. It was that interest. What if I do this and this? What happens? So for me, what I always advise is expose your children early. Take them to things like, a science festival where they see all aspects. So we taught them AI tools. They were playing with AI tools that can help you take whatever you want to learn to turn it to music, right? And this AI tool can allow you to turn it to Fela's music. You can make it K-pop, hip-hop. Do you know? So they start seeing technology from a different perspective. And that's what I say, that if we teach it well, people will embrace it because it's fun, it's real, it's practical. If you get them to, they were building this sensor dustbin. So they gave them the bricks, they gave them the instructions, and they built, and it was exciting to wave at the dustbin, and the dustbin opens and wave, so they start to see science not in the textbook. They start to see the science, the technology, the engineering, the math part of it, all, real life.
Come together. Right.
Come together. We show them what virtual reality can be, because virtual reality is, imagine yourself, you want to paint your house, and then you're in there seeing how it will be when you change the colors, or you want to change outfit. So they were blown. That's really what you want to start your child with. Take them for these things, to see it, the practical, the fun aspect of it, the engineering. When you start explaining to them, do you know why this house will not balance if it was a triangle? They're like, they're trying to understand. And then they just start, it's fun.
Expanding their minds and trying to also solve that problem.
Thank you. It's also about solving that problem. So what I always encourage parents is expose them early. Take them to science fairs. Let them build. Get them Lego blocks. Nothing as fun as playing with Lego blocks. Well, in our own time, before Lego, Lego blocks was for rich people. There was plasticine. In our mind, things we built with plastic. The things that I built outside with sand. If I say it now, these children will be like, oh my goodness, you must have come from the village, But it's that thing that it makes you explore, it makes you curious, and you want to expose your children to things that make them curious, things that make them want to try A and B. How would it work? So even if you choose apps, always think about that. And does it encourage my child to be curious? Does it encourage them to try things out? It's like color. I don't know about you. When they used to do food coloring, we first of all go try the red, then we're gonna bring the red, try it, and I'll say, oh, it's that thing. So that's what I would, encourage them. Take them for those kind of events. Take them for also in STEM clubs. I know parents, some do, some don't. I feel that it needs to be mandatory. STEM clubs needs to be mandatory.
Okay.
Primary schools, yes, because it explores. It allows you to say, okay, I bring a plant, beans plant, it's not expensive. I put it in this soil, that soil, that soil. Why didn't it grow? why did it grow? Look at what's happening now. You can grow a bean seed with water using hydroponics. How does that happen? What do I need to do? People start to think, they're not like, oh, so that means that in my house, if I don't have backyard, I can grow this thing.
Actually still grow something.
Thank you. And that's the mindset you want, because look at what's happening. Before, we felt that we needed more land, but people are now building, going up. Why? Because someone in science thought differently. And that's really what you want to do. So that's why I would say STEM clubs are really important. Expose children. Please, when I say STEM, it's not robotics only. When you say STEM, parents only hear coding. My child doesn't like code.
Yes, it's only coding that they hear.
No.
There's no other way around it.
No, science experiment, building things. Our generation, this old generation, we built things. We built old tire. You go and build it before it becomes a swing. We used to take our old sugar boxes, we put broom through it, and the next thing
then it had tires.
Thank you. Do you understand? I feel that's why we are a bit more creative. I feel that's why we are. Despite all the problems, it's a bit solved when it hits us, because the things we created, the things we solved, the things that we found how to do, it's just mind-blowing. And that's what STEM does. It allows you to think. It allows you to be an innovator. It allows you to be a problem solver.
Right.
The things that we patched up, when I tell people, I was making a joke. When your radiator is leaking, before you call mechanic, your mother
You're
has,
already looking for ways
yeah,
to, oh yes, I remember
yeah,
back then
we will
always
chew gum. We will chew gum. I help my mom patch her. They laugh. You like, you two did that thing. So there was that kind of problem solving. And so that exposes your child to, it's not only robotics, let them do science experiments. You can even
Right.
start by just downloading them online. You can start with them, planting the things, but expose them to science, technology, engineering, arts, and maths. It changes the way they think. It changes the way they are curious about things. Introduce them to tools that will make them want to learn about something. Look at what we are doing, right? If your child is interested in fashion, go and look for a tool that will make them explore fashion that blows their mind. So look at what people have done. Someone produced a movie completely on their computer. So that period of bringing models and actors and actresses is changing. And that's what science, technology, engineering, it blows your mind. So take your child's interest and look for how you can amplified with science, technology, engineering, arts, and maths. So designers that before they needed to know how to use pencil to design.
No, no,
Before you
they
want to
just
be an
create stuff.
animator, you have to know how to draw. Do you understand?
Yes.
I can paint you now. I don't go draw. I just take this picture, put it in one app. The next I say convert it to pencil or canvas or watercolor. It will bring it out.
Right. And it will be
Yeah,
so creative. But yeah,
it is.
that's what STEM has actually been able to do uh for us. Well, AI and all those interesting stuff.
Mhm.
But
Ah,
yes,
yeah.
seeing that the world is evolving every day so fast, can we catch up with the rest of the world? I am saying we as Nigerians, can we catch up?
It's like when Usain Bolt has started and you didn't know the whistle had. Can you catch up? Yes, we can. It will be hard, but if we put in the work, on a
Okay.
more serious, I mean, people have gone ahead. The things that some countries are doing with AI, that their children are learning is mind blowing. But the thing
Okay.
about us is that there's something deep in us as Nigerians that we know Sabi carry last. There's something about us that just makes we came from the back, but there's a
But
way that we
once we
can.
want to push,
So, but what are the things that we need to be able to do this? I think the first thing is that we do need a STEM curriculum, a
okay,
formal,
okay.
updated one. We currently don't really have one, So I think if I'm
Mm,
to say anything to the government, let's have, and it starts from primary school, whereby
okay.
it's part of it. That's number one. It's also the STEM clubs that I say needs to be mandatory so that the children it
Right,
becomes a part of them, right? Doing these
right,
things,
right.
innovating. The other thing I'll talk about is access to, the internet and technology.
Okay,
Let's be honest, a lot of these things are driven, by technology, and
I
they keep
agree.
they keep changing. So we need that a common entrance. They did common entrance a few weeks ago. Common entrance has to
Nice using biro and paper and pencil
ICT
to
design. Do
and
you understand?
paper.
Thank you. We should stop using paper. Let me give you an example. Before when you go and you want to be a cashier in a fast food restaurant, you don't need anything, just go there. But now if you can't do a computer, because
You can't
to
use
print
it.
out the receipt, it needs computer. So I'm
Right.
letting you know how simple and how
If you
basic.
can't
Look at
input
what
things into the right places, you would
look at
definitely
what
be
happened
allowing
with
people to go.
when we had the money issue. A lot of the people that
Oh,
were
yeah.
selling the market were cut out from using cash. But you know what? They quickly learned how to use POS. Before they said, Aboki no fit use POS. Now you go to the market, Aboki
They
say, Madam, I
became
get POS.
experts.
They're
Yes.
now experts. So that's why I say that sometimes we can be behind, but situations force us to leapfrog, and that cashless thing was one of those things. So
Mm.
imagine if you apply that same thing back in education, where we are forced to, people have no choice but to
Move with the
on
times as opposed to
to
just
do
stay
the
behind.
Yeah, every exam now requires you to use technology. We're doing it online. It's part of the exam. You're going to do a digital literacy test so that
Yeah,
it's compulsory. When we are saying we are doing JAMB and WIEC, and there's nothing on ICT, do you understand? It has to be a compulsory course. So okay, you
I
want to read
agree.
medicine, you do maths, English, science, and whatever biology. The fifth course is ICT,
Right, right,
right?
right.
Because it becomes something that is now ingrained in everybody.
I
And
agree.
once we make technology part of us and people have
Hmm.
access to the internet, that's another thing. Let me give you this interesting story.
Well,
Um,
I hope it's going to be very short because we're
it's
almost
the
out of
last
time.
one. I
All
have
right.
a lot of developers that work for me, but they didn't learn it in school. They learned it on the internet. They did not learn it in school. So it shows that you can leapfrog with access to technology. And that's for me are some of those key things that will help us to leapfrog to answer your
Mhm.
question.
All right. So it means that you have to have an open mind as an individual, either as a parent or as a student. Just have an open mind and search because the answers are actually out there. Don't just
Mm.
wait and fold your hand and say, until the government. You probably will be stuck in that space for years to come. But thank you so much for all that insight today. It's been very enlightening and eye-opening as well as ear-opening.
E and I. I'll be ear and
Yes.
ear.
Okay. Okay.
Uh,
So
Thank you
so
for
for
having me.
every listener right now who would love to, maybe partner with you some other time, how can they get across to you on your social media handle?
Okay, so just reach us at STEM Africa Fest. Just check for us on Instagram. And then you can also reach out to me on LinkedIn at Titi Adewusi. So just check for us. But STEM Africa Fest,
We'll
that's
always
that
we'll always get
yeah, always
attention.
there. Yeah.
All right, Lagos. I'm sure you enjoyed that conversation because I did. I'm sure you have definitely enjoyed that. And if you do have your awards, now that they're on holiday, it doesn't always have to be coding, or you can find all the interesting things. Go on, see, the internet is your friend. Do your
Mhm.
research and help them. I know you're tired of them constantly, focusing their attention on television. How about looking for other interesting and engaging things to help them with? Well, I'll leave that for you to do your homework on. But as always, the conversation